Welcome at first glance, the Washington quarter looks like an ordinary pocket coin, but hidden within its history are details that serious collectors never overlook. Stay with us as we uncover what makes certain authenticated examples stand out, and why this familiar coin continues to fascinate the numismatic world. First coin. Few American coins have sparked as much curiosity among everyday pocket change hunters as the 1776 1970 bicentennial Washington quarter. At first glance it appears familiar, yet a closer inspection immediately reveals that something is different. Instead of a single date, it proudly carries the dual inscription 1776 1976, commemorating 2 centuries of American independence. Millions of people have handled one without giving it a second thought, while dedicated collectors have spent years studying subtle differences that separate ordinary examples from those considered genuinely desirable. Later in this documentary, you'll discover what professionally authenticated specimens have actually sold for, why certain examples command dramatically stronger prices than others, and how factors such as preservation, striking quality, minting characteristics, and verified rarity influence collector demand in today's market. The story behind this quarter proves that history, craftsmanship, and condition can combine to transform an everyday circulating coin into an object of serious numismatic interest. The idea for America's bicentennial coinage emerged during a period when the nation was preparing to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Congress authorized special commemorative circulating designs so that millions of Americans could participate in the celebration simply by using their everyday change. Rather than producing a traditional annual design, the United States Mint created special reverse designs for the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coin, each carrying the distinctive dual date of 1776 1976. Although these quarters were struck during both 1975 and 1976, no quarters dated 1975 were ever produced for circulation. Every bicentennial quarter instead bears the 1776 1976 inscription, making it one of the most recognizable issues in modern American coinage. The Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark on the obverse, played a major role in producing these coins for circulation across the western United States and beyond. The obverse retained the classic portrait of George Washington that Americans had known since 1932, originally designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Washington's profile faces left beneath the familiar motto "In God We Trust," while liberty stretches boldly above his head. The small D mint mark appears to the right of Washington's tied Q, identifying the coin as a Denver Mint product. On the reverse, however, collectors encounter a completely different artistic vision. Designed by Jack L.R., the image features a colonial drummer standing proudly with a torch encircled by 13 stars, symbolizing the original colonies that declared independence in 1776. The composition creates an unmistakable patriotic theme, blending military readiness, national unity, and historical remembrance into a single compact design. Because the reverse appeared for only this commemorative issue before the standard eagle design returned, it has remained one of the most beloved modern quarter reverses ever placed into circulation. The Denver Mint produced well over 860 million circulation strike bicentennial quarters, making the issue common in absolute numbers but surprisingly challenging in exceptional condition. The coins were struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition consisting of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. Each piece weighs approximately 5.67 grams, measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge with 119 reeds. Although modern minting technology allowed for rapid production, such enormous output inevitably resulted in varying strike quality. Some examples display razor-sharp details in Washington's hair and the drummer's uniform, while others show softness caused by worn dies or high-speed production. These manufacturing differences now play an important role when experienced graders evaluate surviving specimens. After entering circulation, bicentennial quarters quickly became keepsakes for millions of Americans celebrating the nation's milestone anniversary. Families often tucked away rolls, children collected them from pocket change, and banks received countless requests from customers hoping to save examples for future generations. Ironically, this widespread saving created an unusual collecting landscape. Although many coins survived, the overwhelming majority were preserved without professional handling, eventually acquiring fingerprints, scratches, environmental spotting, or minor contact marks. As decades passed, collectors realized that simply owning a bicentennial quarter was not enough. The real challenge became locating coins that retained blazing original mint luster, virtually flawless surfaces, crisp strikes, and exceptional eye appeal. Those characteristics separate average survivors from coins capable of attracting advanced collectors willing to pay meaningful premiums. Collector value depends on a combination of authenticity, grade, originality, and market demand rather than the date alone. Most circulated Denver bicentennial quarters remain worth only face value because of their enormous production numbers. However, professionally graded mint state examples with strong eye appeal can become considerably more desirable. Coins certified around MS-66 frequently trade in the neighborhood of $1,100 when they display attractive luster and minimal distractions, while especially impressive MS-67 examples with outstanding surfaces have realized approximately $2,300 in competitive sales. These figures fluctuate as collector demand changes and certified populations continue to influence pricing. Every transaction ultimately reflects what knowledgeable buyers are willing to pay for verified quality at a particular moment, rather than any guaranteed value assigned to the date itself. Beyond standard mint state examples, specialists devote tremendous attention to mint errors and die varieties. During periods of high-volume production, mechanical failures occasionally created fascinating mistakes that escaped quality control and entered circulation. Collectors search for dramatic off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, retained cuds, major die cracks, and doubled dies that show genuine hub doubling rather than simple machine doubling. Verified error coins can command substantial premiums because each represents an unusual moment in the minting process. Authentication becomes especially important since damaged coins are often mistaken for genuine mint errors. Reputable third-party grading services examine metal flow, strike characteristics, and die evidence before certifying an error. When an authenticated Denver bicentennial quarter combines an attractive major mint error with high preservation, values can exceed those of ordinary uncirculated examples by a significant margin, depending on the rarity of the error itself. Professional grading standards also explain why seemingly similar coins can differ enormously in desirability. Graders evaluate luster, strike sharpness, surface preservation, originality, and overall visual appeal under controlled lighting and magnification. Every tiny contact mark from mint bags, every hairline scratch from improper cleaning, and every dull patch caused by environmental exposure affects the final assessment. Although copper coins receive color designations such as brown, and red, clad Washington quarters are instead judged primarily by surface quality, brilliance, and originality. Collectors place exceptional emphasis on coins that remain free of cleaning, artificial tunning, polishing, or other alterations because original surfaces inspire greater confidence. Sharp details on the drummer's uniform, the torch, the 13 stars, and Washington's hair often distinguish premium, certified examples from lower-grade pieces that appear similar to the untrained eye. As collector interest has expanded through online auctions and certified grading registries, remarkable bicentennial quarters have attracted increasing attention. Registry collectors frequently compete for the finest certified examples in pursuit of top-ranked collections, creating strong demand for coins with elite grades and exceptional eye appeal. Some authenticated high-grade Denver quarters have realized around $3,700 when offered through respected auction firms, particularly when population reports indicated only a limited number of comparable certified examples. Extraordinary auction records that occasionally exceed ordinary collector prices generally involve exceptional preservation, important die varieties, or unusual mint errors verified by professional grading companies. These headline results should never be interpreted to mean that every 1,776 1976D quarter carries similar value. The overwhelming majority remain common, while only a tiny fraction achieve elite status through a combination of rarity, condition, and documented authenticity. Anyone fortunate enough to discover a clean bicentennial Denver quarter should resist the temptation to polish or clean it, since even gentle rubbing can permanently reduce collector value by damaging the original surfaces. Instead, handle the coin only by its edges, store it in inert archival holders free from PVC, and keep it in a stable environment away from excessive humidity, heat, and airborne contaminants. A careful examination under proper lighting may reveal details that deserve further evaluation, but final conclusions should come from experienced numismatists or respected third-party grading services capable of confirming authenticity and assigning an objective grade. The enduring fascination surrounding the 1,776 1976D bicentennial Washington quarter lies not in the assumption that every example is valuable, but in the continuing search for those rare survivors whose outstanding preservation, verified quality, remarkable mint characteristics, and documented provenance elevate them from ordinary circulating coinage into truly memorable pieces of American numismatic history. Next coin. The 1967 Washington quarter is one of those American coins that often slips through circulation unnoticed, yet it has quietly earned a place among the most carefully studied modern issues in U.S. numismatics. At first glance, it appears to be just another silver-colored quarter from the 1960s, but a closer inspection reveals a fascinating chapter in the history of the United States Mint during a time of extraordinary economic pressure and nationwide coin shortages. While millions of examples survive today, only a very small percentage possess the exceptional characteristics collectors seek. As this story unfolds, you'll discover why this seemingly ordinary quarter has become increasingly desirable, what separates common pieces from remarkable survivors, and what professionally authenticated examples have sold for when preservation, originality, and quality align in the right combination. To understand why the 1967 quarter exists in the form collectors know today, it is necessary to step back into the turbulent monetary climate of the mid-1960s. America was experiencing an unprecedented coin shortage as the public began hoarding silver coins after the Coinage Act of 1965 removed silver from circulating dimes and quarters. Rising silver prices encouraged people to save older coins rather than spend them, creating an artificial shortage in everyday commerce. Banks struggled to maintain adequate supplies of change, businesses faced delays, and the United States Mint was forced to dramatically increase production. In an effort to discourage collectors from pulling new coins directly from circulation, Congress temporarily suspended the use of mint marks from 1965 through 1967. As a result, every regular 1967 Washington quarter was struck without any mint mark, even though production occurred at multiple mint facilities. This unusual decision has made the 3-year no-mint mark period one of the most distinctive chapters in modern American coinage. Although collectors often ask which mint produced a particular 1967 quarter, the answer is more complicated than it appears. During this temporary suspension, quarters were manufactured primarily at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco facilities, but no identifying mint marks were placed on the coins. The goal was simple: prevent collectors from favoring one mint over another and allow coins to circulate as quickly as possible. Official production records indicate that more than 1.5 billion circulation strike quarters dated 1967 were minted, making it one of the highest mintage Washington quarters ever issued. Despite those enormous numbers, quantity alone does not determine collectability. High-speed production, heavily worn dies, and intense demand for circulating coinage resulted in many examples displaying weak strikes, surface abrasions, or subdued luster before they even entered circulation. Those manufacturing realities continue to influence collector demand decades later. The physical specifications of the 1967 Washington quarter reflect the dramatic changes introduced by the Coinage Act of 1965. Unlike earlier Washington quarters composed of 90% silver, the 1967 issue features a copper-nickel-clad construction with outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. Each coin weighs approximately 5.67 grams, measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge designed both for durability and as a historical continuation of earlier silver coinage. The familiar obverse portrait of George Washington, created by sculptor John Flanagan, remained unchanged, presenting the nation's first president beneath the word liberty, with the motto, "In God We Trust," positioned to the left. On the reverse, a majestic heraldic eagle spreads its wings above two olive branches, symbolizing national strength balanced with peace. This classic design had represented the quarter since 1932 and remained one of the most recognizable images in American pocket change. Producing more than 1 billion quarters under severe time pressure inevitably affected overall quality. Mint employees worked continuously to satisfy nationwide demand, often using dies longer than would normally have been preferred. As dies aged, finer details gradually softened, particularly within Washington's hair, the eagle's breast feathers, and the lettering around the rim. Many coins also acquired contact marks almost immediately after striking, because freshly minted quarters were transporting in enormous bags where they repeatedly collided with one another. Consequently, locating a 1967 quarter with crisp detail, vibrant original mint luster, and relatively clean surfaces has become considerably more challenging than its massive mintage might suggest. Experienced collectors often emphasize eye appeal as much as technical grade, recognizing that an attractive coin with balanced luster and a strong strike may be more desirable than another example assigned the same numerical grade, but lacking visual character. As interest in modern clad coinage expanded during the last several decades, professional grading services helped redefine the market for outstanding 1967 quarters. Most circulated examples remain worth only their face value because of their abundance and heavy wear. However, once a coin reaches the upper mint state grades, scarcity increases dramatically. Certified examples graded around MS66, with excellent originality and appealing luster, have realized prices near $1,250 in the marketplace, while superior specimens reaching MS67 have brought approximately $2,650 when demand among registry-set collectors has been particularly competitive. These values are never guaranteed and fluctuate according to authentication, grading standards, market conditions, population reports, and overall collector interest. The date alone does not create value. Rather, it is the combination of exceptional preservation and verified quality that attracts serious buyers. Beyond standard mint state examples, specialists also examine the 1967 quarter for legitimate mint errors and recognized varieties. While no major, widely accepted double-die variety comparable to some famous earlier U.S. coins defines the issue, authenticated mint errors certainly exist. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, struck-through errors, and occasional die cracks have all been documented by respected grading services. Because these errors originated during the minting process, they are distinguishable from ordinary post-mint damage through careful analysis of metal flow, strike characteristics, and planchet integrity. Collectors should remain cautious when evaluating unusual-looking quarters because damage caused after circulation can easily resemble genuine mint errors. Professional authentication is especially valuable when an error appears significant, as certified examples generally inspire greater confidence among buyers and sellers alike. Counterfeit concerns surrounding the 1967 quarter usually involve deceptive alterations rather than sophisticated reproductions of ordinary circulation strikes. Since common examples have relatively modest value, counterfeiters rarely devote significant effort to duplicating average coins. Instead, problems more often arise when damaged pieces are cleaned, polished, artificially toned, or falsely represented as rare errors or exceptionally high-grade specimens. Under magnification, experienced numismatists evaluate surface texture, luster, edge construction, and design details to determine originality. A genuine clad quarter should display the distinctive copper core along the edge where the outer nickel layers meet, unless that area has been obscured by damage. Collectors considering expensive purchases generally rely on respected third-party grading companies because encapsulated coins provide independent opinions regarding authenticity, grade, and any noteworthy minting characteristics. Another important factor influencing long-term collectability is proper preservation after discovery. Even an attractive uncirculated quarter can lose significant desirability if mishandled. Oils from fingerprints, abrasive cleaning, or improper storage materials containing PVC can permanently alter original surfaces. Collectors typically recommend handling coins only by the edges, storing them in archival quality holders, and maintaining a stable environment free from excessive humidity and rapid temperature changes. Unlike copper coins, clad Washington quarters do not receive formal color designations such as red or brown, but originality of surface remains critically important. Bright, untouched mint frost, natural tunning, and uninterrupted cartwheel luster consistently receive stronger appreciation than cleaned or artificially enhanced appearances. These subtle distinctions often determine whether a coin remains simply attractive or becomes genuinely competitive within advanced collections. The enduring appeal of the 1967 Washington quarter lies not in its enormous mintage, but in the extraordinary historical circumstances surrounding its creation and the ongoing challenge of locating exceptional survivors. It represents a pivotal moment when the United States Mint adapted to changing economic realities, abandoned silver for circulating quarters, temporarily eliminated mint marks, and responded to one of the greatest coin shortages in modern American history. Today, registry collectors continue competing for the finest certified examples, and authenticated high-grade pieces with outstanding eye appeal occasionally achieve prices approaching $3,900 in major public sales when population data confirms their scarcity. Those exceptional results apply only to verified coins meeting the highest standards of preservation and certification, not to every 1967 quarter found in circulation. For collectors and historians alike, this coin serves as a reminder that true numismatic value is built through authenticity, rarity, originality, condition, and historical significance rather than age or mintage alone, ensuring its place as one of the most fascinating modern Washington quarters ever produced. Next coin. There is something strangely deceptive about the 1966 Washington quarter. It blends into jars of loose change, old dresser drawers, inherited collections, and bank rolls without demanding attention, yet seasoned numismatists often pause when they encounter one. To an untrained eye, it appears to be just another quarter from the 1960s, but experienced collectors know that its story begins during one of the most unusual periods in the history of the United States Mint. The clues are subtle rather than dramatic, hidden in details that most people overlook completely. As we examine this coin together, you'll discover why specialists inspect it so carefully, what characteristics separate ordinary examples from truly desirable ones, and why only a select group of professionally authenticated pieces have earned remarkable collector recognition over the years. Investigation begins with the economic uncertainty of the mid-1960s, when the United States faced an unprecedented shortage of circulating coins. Rising silver prices encouraged Americans to save older silver dimes, quarters, and half dollars rather than spend them, creating a serious lack of small change in everyday commerce. Congress responded by passing the Coinage Act of 1965, one of the most significant monetary reforms in modern American history. Silver was eliminated from circulating quarters, replaced with a more economical copper-nickel clad composition that could be produced in enormous quantities without depending on increasingly expensive precious metals. The mint simultaneously suspended mint marks on regular circulating coins dated 1965 through 1967 in an effort to discourage collectors from hoarding newly issued pieces from specific facilities. That decision transformed the 1966 Washington Quarter into a fascinating product of national policy rather than simply another annual issue. Looking closely at the coin itself reveals several important clues. The obverse carries John Flanagan's enduring portrait of George Washington, first introduced on the quarter in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of Washington's birth. Above his profile appears Liberty, while In God We Trust rests to the left, with the date 1966 below. One feature immediately attracts an experienced collector's attention, not because it is present, but because it is absent. There is no mint mark anywhere on the coin. Although these quarters were struck at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, none bears an identifying letter because of the temporary suspension ordered during the coin shortage. The reverse continues Flanagan's familiar heraldic eagle, standing proudly with wings spread above a bundle of arrows framed by olive branches, symbolizing both military strength and the nation's desire for peace. Every design element reflects continuity at a moment when the composition beneath the surface had changed dramatically. Physical specifications provide additional evidence confirming authenticity. A genuine 1966 circulation strike Washington quarter weighs approximately 5.67 grams and measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter. Instead of solid silver, it consists of outer layers made from 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. When viewed from the edge, that copper center forms a narrow reddish stripe between the outer clad layers, one of the easiest characteristics collectors examine during an initial inspection. The coin also features a reeded edge, preserving a traditional appearance inherited from earlier silver issues. During production, prepared planchets passed through high-speed presses where tremendous pressure impressed both designs simultaneously. Because production demands were extraordinarily high, dies often remained in service longer than ideal, resulting in noticeable differences in strike sharpness from one coin to another. Those differences remain highly relevant to collectors today. The enormous production figures explain why the 1966 quarter is common in circulated grades, yet surprisingly elusive in exceptional condition. More than 821 million circulation strike quarters dated 1966 entered commerce, ensuring that nearly every American encountered them during ordinary daily transactions. However, the urgency of production meant that quality control frequently yielded to quantity. Freshly struck coins were dumped into large storage bags where they repeatedly collided with one another, creating countless tiny contact marks before ever reaching circulation. Many examples also exhibit softer strikes caused by worn dies operating under relentless schedules. As we continue examining the coin, it becomes clear why advanced collectors rarely stop at simply finding the correct date. They evaluate the sharpness of Washington's hair, the eagle's breast feathers, the crispness of the lettering, and the uninterrupted brilliance of the original mint luster before deciding whether a particular example deserves closer attention. Once collectors move beyond the date, surface preservation becomes the next stage of the investigation. Original mint luster, often described as a rotating cartwheel effect under proper lighting, is one of the strongest indicators that a coin has avoided significant wear or improper handling. Even if a quarter escaped circulation, early careless storage can introduce hairline scratches, fingerprints, dull patches, or environmental staining that permanently reduce collector appeal. Unlike copper cents, clad Washington quarters do not receive formal color designations such as red or brown, yet originality remains equally important. Professional graders carefully evaluate the presence of untouched surfaces, balanced eye appeal, and natural toning while searching for evidence of polishing or abrasive cleaning. Many otherwise attractive quarters lose substantial collector interest because someone attempted to improve their appearance decades earlier, unintentionally removing the very characteristics serious buyers value most. As curiosity builds, collector values begin to make more sense. The overwhelming majority of circulated 1966 quarters remain worth only face value because their condition reflects decades of ordinary commerce. Certified mint state examples, however, occupy an entirely different category. Coins professionally graded around MS66 with pleasing luster and relatively clean surfaces have sold for approximately $1,380 in active collector markets, while scarcer examples certified MS67 with exceptional eye appeal have realized around $2,950 when registry set competition has been particularly strong. These values are not fixed and should never be viewed as guarantees. Authentication, originality, grading consistency, population reports, and changing collector demand all influence what buyers are willing to pay. The lesson is simple but important. Collectors purchase quality, not merely a date. Experienced numismatists also investigate the possibility of legitimate mint errors, although they approach unusual coins with healthy skepticism. High-speed production occasionally produced authentic off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, struck-through errors, and significant die cracks that escaped into circulation. Such pieces can become highly collectible because they document unusual moments in the manufacturing process. At the same time, countless damaged quarters have been mistakenly promoted as valuable errors despite acquiring their unusual appearance only after leaving the mint. Distinguishing the two requires careful study of metal flow, strike characteristics, rim formation, and die evidence. Because no single famous double die variety defines the 1966 Washington quarter, collectors should be cautious when extraordinary claims lack certification. Independent grading services remain the most reliable source for confirming whether an unusual coin truly represents a mint-produced error rather than post-mint damage. Authentication has become increasingly important as online marketplaces expose collectors to thousands of coins from around the country. Although counterfeiters rarely target average 1966 quarters because ordinary examples have little premium, deceptive practices still occur. Artificial toning, altered surfaces, misleading descriptions, and exaggerated claims regarding supposed mint errors appear far more often than sophisticated counterfeit coins. Careful examination under magnification helps reveal unnatural polishing lines, altered textures, or signs of cleaning. Experienced collectors also compare lettering, design details, rim shape, and the visible copper core along the edge with known genuine examples. When a coin appears unusually well preserved or displays characteristics suggesting exceptional rarity, submission to a respected third-party grading service offers valuable reassurance. Certification provides independent confirmation of authenticity, condition, and any recognized mint error or variety that may influence collector demand. The investigation ultimately reveals that the 1966 Washington quarter occupies a remarkable place in American numismatic history because it reflects an era when national economic pressures reshaped everyday coinage. It represents the transition away from circulating silver, the temporary disappearance of mint marks, and the extraordinary effort required to restore the nation's supply of small change. Today, collectors continue searching for the finest surviving examples, particularly those with sharp strikes, vibrant original luster, minimal contact marks, and unquestioned originality. Authenticated pieces, approaching the highest certified grades, have occasionally realized prices near $3,800 in major sales, but those results belong only to exceptionally preserved coins verified by professional grading services and should never be interpreted as the value of every 1966 quarter. The enduring fascination comes from understanding how careful observation transforms an apparently ordinary coin into a historical artifact, whose true significance emerges only after every detail has been examined with the patience and discipline of an experienced numismatic investigator.